So now it's on to bag C, which is front to front end. So let's get that started. Alright guys, here's a little tip for you. When you're assembling the steering block and caster block, you got these little swerve bushings. And I always struggled with this when I was younger because I'd put it in the top here like this and it'd fall. Well, now it's not going to, but it'd fall right out. But a lot of you probably already know this and are laughing at me for telling you this, but for those who don't know or haven't thought of it, if you just put it sideways, then this caster block will slip right in there, and you just gotta hold everything together as you put a screw in, and it's that easy. And I wish I would have thought of that a lot earlier than I did. Quick tip for assembling cars in general, and especially these LC Racing Minis, is this plastic can be a little soft. That's a good thing because it makes it really durable, but you got to be careful that you don't strip out the screws. Most are fine, but on these tiny little screws holding in this hinge pin for this outer hinge pin, it can be a little soft because they gotta have the right size hole that'll easily self-tap, but balance that with strength, and it can be pretty easy to strip. So you just gotta take it easy, take it careful, make sure you don't put too much torque on it, just like the diff. And if you do that, if you be smart about it, you'll be totally fine. Another speed tip for you. This grub screw, the set screw that goes on the out drive that comes out of the diff, front and rear, always make sure to Loctite that. Whether you're building a kit or you buy a car new, always pull that screw out and put some Loctite on it, because that is a very well-known area to loosen up. It's spinning at high speeds right off of the diff, and it just loosens up really easily. So make sure to Loctite that and you'll have no issues. I Loctited my Truggy one once in 5 years and it has not come apart, so it clearly works. And all I use is blue Loctite, and that works just fine. aside from shocks and sway bars, front end is done, and my goodness, is everything beautifully tight. Gears are meshing great. Bearings are really smooth for out of the box. They'll need to be broken in still, but they feel great. Everything is moving freely, as should. Very happy with this build so far. Now, let's get those shocks installed and that sway bar set installed, and we'll be done with this front end. Alright guys, I'm going to do the sway bars now. For my normal truggy, I typically ran the heaviest 1.5 sway bar in the front and the lightest to most of the time no sway bar in the rear. So that's going to be how I set up this car to begin with. And I have the heaviest sway bar in the front, and I'll put the lightest in the rear just so that I have all the parts on there. And if I can run sway bars, I'd rather run sway bars, but if it doesn't handle right, I'll pull off that rear sway bar to get it to handle how I want. So let's do that. Here's a tip for you guys. When you set up your sway bars, there's a certain adjustment that they need to be so that they work evenly and they're not putting different forces as you turn left versus right, per se. What I do is exactly the same as what Ty Tessman does. So I'll point you to that video. Ty Tessman makes a video using a scale car on how to adjust sway bars. So I'd say look that up on YouTube, and that'll tell you exactly how to set your sway bars. It's the same principle on the 8 scale versus 10 scale and also minis. So go check that video out to make sure your sway bars are set perfectly. And then here's a little tip I learned from a buddy of mine many years ago. I don't know if you can see, but on this sway bar mount that goes right on the diff case, there's these two little dimples. I shave or cut or however you need to, I get those dimples off, because all those do is that pinches the sway bar and it allows it to, or it doesn't allow it to move freely like it should. Alright guys, that is a completed, all done LC12 front end. And boy am I ever stoked, because this front end feels better than any I've built, and believe me, I've done a lot of LC rebuilds, so I am stoked about that.